Isotope is a small, micro-independent brand, I'm not sure what you would actually call it, run by some really great people that make some very creative watches. A lot of their watches have sci-fi inspiration, constantly trying to come up with new ideas and new ways of displaying the time. I have a very straightforward model of theirs to show you guys today. However, there are so many little details that go into this watch. It really is very interesting, and you need to get into the nitty-gritty of this dial and the case to really get a very good look. So I have one hands on. Let's flip the camera and take a look at the Flyway from Isotope. Isotope make very interesting watches with lots of little details, and almost every single one of their watches has something that you probably will not find on another micro brand, like this watch. This has a curved sapphire crystal, something very hard to do, and it's something that you're probably not going to see on many micro brands. This is not something that is very typical, and it's really cool. The whole design here is something very interesting and very bespoke. You can see the whole entire case sort of mimics their design language, but it's brushed, polished, and media blasted. Very interesting design, and when you look at it from the top, it almost looks like an integrated bracelet watch, but it's not. This could take a normal strap. So this bracelet sort of integrates into the case, making it look like an integrated bracelet. You have a very interesting bezel on here as well, not only about the knurling that's on the bezel, but the shape of it in general. You could see as you turn the watch around, you see that the bezel is much longer or thicker between the lugs, and at the side of the case, it looks like it's thinner or shorter. And that's because of the way that the lugs and the side of the watch sort of sweep across them. So it's obviously an illusion. It's sort of a barrel that's sitting in this little cradle of a case. It's really interesting, a very interesting design, something that is visually appealing as well. And you have a very interesting dial on here. This is a pyramid dial, and it gets bronze indices. Now, I'm not sure that I've ever seen bronze indices on a stainless steel watch, but it makes a lot of sense because this watch gets a, I don't want to call it a brown dial, but it's almost like a dark tan dial. And that pyramid dial is a very nice texture to it as well, but it's also a fume dial. So it's darker on the outer portion of the dial and it gets lighter towards the center. So you have these bronze indices, they work really well, and then they are filled with a creamy colored lume. I think it's like an old radium superluminova. You have heat blued hands, those are lumed as well and skeletonized, and I believe there is a little bit of lume on that second hand. I think it's on the counterbalance. We'll do a lume shot towards the end. And then you have their applied logo right below the 12 o'clock. It is their little blue logo there. It looks fantastic, and everything on this dial looks really good. You can see that the chapter ring has these little diamonds engraved into it that are behind each one of the hour markers, and then it's engraved at the bottom of the dial, just says Swiss made. So this is a Swiss made watch. You're getting a Landerdin movement in this one. It's also available with a Joux-Perret movement. The prices are different. We'll talk about price towards the end of the video. The bracelet on here tapers a lot. You have screwed links, polished center links. It's just really nice, and it's got a double push button enclosure. You get to see the movement from the back. There is a curved sapphire crystal on the back. There is no reason why they need to do that. They just do it because I guess they're just showing off. It makes it really cool. You have very large tabs on the quick release, and the quick release tabs are actually their logo. So again, not something that they need to do, something that they wanted to do, not something that you're going to see every day, but they wanted to do it. You have a screwed-in case back. There's a little bit of information on that case back. You do not get a screwed-in crown, but you do get 100 meters of water resistance. You get a polished crown with their logo on it again, and their logo is on the movement, and you get blued screws. It's a really nice version of the Landerdin movement. So this is the Landerdin movement. Like I said, you could also get this with a Joux-Perret movement. So measurements on this watch are a little bit deceiving. This is a 36 millimeter watch, but it measures in around 36.5 millimeters. I wouldn't call it a 37 millimeter watch, but I think it wears like a 37 millimeter watch. rather than a 36 millimeter watch. And you also have a very short lug to lug of around 41 millimeters, or just over 41 millimeters. But again, because you have male end links and this looks and wears like an integrated bracelet watch on the bracelet, it does wear slightly larger than that. And then you have a thickness of around 12 millimeters thick. I measured 12.2 millimeters. That's including 100 meters of water resistance, and you have a curved sapphire crystal on the front and the back of the watch, which is very strange, very weird, very cool. So I think that's a pretty good thickness. And overall, this wears really nicely on my wrist. I'll show it to you on my wrist in just a few seconds. On my wrist today, I have a very large watch. This is 43 millimeters. This is the newest Oris Caliber 113 Big Crown. Just a pretty cool watch with a very bright, but not as bright in person dial. So it's pink and green. I just think it's cool. Very good looking watch. And there's the flyway on my 7.5 inch wrist, and it looks really good on my wrist. It does not look like a small watch. This is around a 36.5 millimeter watch, 12.2 millimeters thick, and a lug to lug of around 46 millimeters if you measure it at the bracelet. If you measure it at the case, it's around 41.2, somewhere in that range. I think it looks fantastic on my 7.5 inch wrist. Lots of little details on that dial, lots of little things to look at. Really nicely made, Swiss made obviously, and you're getting a Swiss movement inside. This one is with the Landerden movement. I'm not sure if the Joux-Perret is thinner as it is here, as it sits. This is around 12.2 millimeters thick. The Landerden is slightly thicker than the Joux-Perret, so I'm not sure if the thinness or thickness is thinner on the version with the Joux-Perret. The Joux-Perret is more expensive. We'll talk about that in just a second. This is loomed. We will do a loom shot. They make a lot of different dials for this, lots of different loomed dials as well. Obviously, some of their inspiration is from, I think, outer space and extraterrestrial things like, aliens and stuff like that. So sci-fi, things that I like. So this does make sense to me. The design language definitely speaks to me. Great looking watch. And there you go. You have a very small dial on here, so there's not a ton of real estate for loom, but everything is loomed and liberally applied with loom. And you do have a little bit of loom on the counterbalance of the second hand so that you can see that your watch is working in the dark. Very good looking watch, very interesting design, something that I really haven't seen before, and most of their watches are like this, something a little bit different. They don't make your average everyday micro brand watch. They put a lot of little details into them to make them somewhat special and stand out from the crowd. And I like that. I think this is really cool. The Landerden version is $1,338. If you want the Joux-Perret version, it's $1,668. So they are on the more expensive side when it comes to micro brands, but you are getting a lot more when it comes to micro brands from Isotope than you would normally get from most other brands. Something very bespoke, something very different, and very interesting. If you like the look, if you like this idea of, watches that are inspired by science fiction, but not like modern science fiction, it's more of like classic science fiction, in my opinion. More like something that you would see at a drive-in movie theater in the 1950s, like that sort of science fiction. That's kind of what I think they're inspired by, and I like that. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I will add a link to this watch down in the description. Definitely check it out if you are interested. That's really it, guys. Thank you for logging on. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. I will catch you guys in the next video.